Hey, everybody. Let me see. Maybe I'll adjust my camera a little bit so you can see the guitar. Phil, hey, how are things in Bristol? Cold, yeah. Hi, Adam. We're doing well. I enjoy watching your video. Danbury, Connecticut. Well, that's not too far. I used to go to Danbury every summer. I used to teach at the National Guitar Summer Workshop there, which was at the oh man, I can't even think of the name of the school, but it was in Danbury. There was a record shop called Jerosa Records, and yeah, I don't know if you've been in Danbury a long time, but yeah, in the early '90s, I was there a lot of summers. I'm trying something a little different today, just sonically. I'm on the mic with my voice, obviously, and then I'm taking the guitar direct. Wonder how it sounds. Hey, David. Well, I know David appreciates this kind of stuff. Very cool. Moved here from Sunnyside, Queens. Oh, wow. Okay. I'll just play a little bit and then see if you have any questions. David, I'm glad you're here. I just mentioned I'm trying out a new audio idea, which is that I'm going through my interface. So the guitar is actually going direct out of the aux. So you might hear some of the guitar in the room, but you're mostly hearing a model. And so I hope it sounds good. Yeah, I do have a little trim on there, Phil. That's coming right out of the amp. So what I'm doing, if you guys are interested in this stuff, using an aux box, and this is a brown Deluxe, Fender Deluxe from the early 60s. And so the guitar is going into the amp, a little tremolo on the amp, and then the aux is going out to my little my little interface box, which is a Scarlett Focusrite Scarlett box. So if you're listening in stereo, you might hear the guitar on the right, and you might hear my voice on the left. Oh, that's great. Thanks, Tag Y. So maybe I'll just play something and then see if you have any questions. Hey, good morning, Mike. Montreal, Glenn. Hmm. Phil, I don't know if you're still here, but I was just remembering a show that I played in Bristol. Oh gosh, um, 2005 or six or something like that in a church. I saw my first, maybe my only actual Banksy uh, on a wall in Bristol. And I played in a church. I think I was sharing the bill with Emily Baker and Amy Wadge. I don't know if you know either of them. They're singer songwriters. Uh, it's a long time ago. But I was just having a flashback. I actually got a little lost in the song because I was, Emily. Wow. Yeah, I think it was at St. George's. Wow, that's really funny. Wow. Well, if you see Emily, please give her my best. That's incredible. Wow. Yeah. Still playing with the light thing here. Want it to be dramatic, but not too dramatic. Yeah. So that was a tune of mine called No Thanks that I wrote last year. Uh, let's see, what else can I play? This is not really a set arrangement, but just a tune I was working on last night. Um, see how it goes. Wow, it's not a crazy time for you. All right, I'm just going to read through. Yeah, Tracy, I remember. I can't. I'm sorry to say I can't remember your face, but I remember your name. Uh, wow. What did we talk about after the show? Ben. Hey, Ben. Long time no see. Frederick said, I saw you on Instagram playing a ukulele and singing. I swear I heard them whisper your name. My pulse is running a lopsided race. I feel the, yeah, wow, you have a good memory for lyrics. That's pretty incredible. That is a song of mine called Long Way Gone. I recorded Long Way Gone on a record that's pretty hard to find. I'm not sure it's on any of the streamers, but you can try. The record is called Live on Ludlow Street. I recorded it at a club in New York called The Living Room in 2005. Um, or maybe 2006. I can't remember, but right around there. And that's that song called Long Way Gone. Uh, maybe I'll do it. What the heck? I ah. Let me turn off the tremolo. See how it goes. My head full of sheep, all woolly and white. They couldn't lure me to sleep, not tonight. I toss and I turn. That's why it feels high. It's high. Start over. That's better. My head full of sheep. That's better. All woolly and white. They couldn't lure me to sleep, not tonight. I toss and I turn. The flock's not to blame. I swear I heard them whisper your name. My pulse is running a lopsided race. I feel the blood, it floods my whole face. A condition like this, I should take better care. Then memory delivers the touch of your hair, and I'm gone. Such a long way gone. Gone out for a drive with the windows all down. Coming alive, I'm the king of this town. Almost hypnotized by the phosphorus lights. How long have I been misreading the signs? I see her eyes at every turn. The night air blows cool. Inside I burn. My right foot is heavy. The car so light. Speed without limits. I could take flight and be gone. Such a long way gone. Gone like over the fence and out of the park. Gone like a star falling far in the velvety dark. Now I strum a guitar. My hands know the way. like the dusk knows the end of the day. It's a beautiful curse. It's one without shame. Round the corners of each verse the same. My heels tap, syncopated in time. I'm a drunken poet, fumbling for a rhyme. My skills escape me, losing the craft. Then I hear the 1-2 punch of your laugh, and I'm gone. Such a long way gone. Such a long way gone. Such a long way. Ooh. Visual tremolo. Wow. Frederick, thank you so much. That's really nice. Oh, wow, Tracy. Yeah. Matt. I saw Matt not too long ago. I was in Austin. Well, not too long ago, a year ago, I was in Austin, and I had a really nice visit with Matt Smith. It was nice to see him, and actually just before the lockdown of everything, I was supposed to do in March a workshop at Matt's Six String Ranch in Austin, um, and it did not happen, and that's a bummer. But I hope it will get to do it another time. Yeah. Anyway, that's Matt, and I haven't talked to Robbie in ages. I think he's still in Weymouth. I'm not sure. Tracy, maybe you know. Hey, Ash. Hi. Hi. Um, let's see. Glenn, you did artwork. Oh, wow, for Michael Gregory Jackson's new record. That's cool. I'll check it out. Where can people find your art? Do you have a page where people can see your art and design work? I'd love to check it out. Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, and Matt was super into slide stuff, even more than, I mean, I think he still is, but at that time he was really playing a lot of slide. Yeah, Matt's an incredible musician. Oh, Ash, I'm glad you love my True Fire courses. Thank you so much. I'm really just glad to share some time with you. But if anybody has questions, oh, now come on. Wow. What's happening in Atlanta? Jacob, that's nice to see you. I'm just playing some little ditties. I should say, before that, the little guitar thing that I played was a song that was written by Richard Julian and recorded by Nora Jones. It's called "Those Sweet Words." That was the thing I was doing. But I just have been playing it as a little instrumental guitar thing lately. It's nice to do. GMT artwork on Facebook. Okay, I will check that out, Glenn. That's good to know. Let's see. Ash says, what's your approach to improvisation? Ash, can you be more specific? I'd love to answer that, but I want to make sure that I'm dialed into what you're really thinking about and don't go too broad. What's my approach to playing over changes? Ash, I'm gonna throw it back at you one more time. Are you talking about like jazz, like playing standards, or playing kind of more in pop, rock, blues kind of chords? Huh. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Okay, so Tracy, stick around. I will talk about I Put a Spell on You, and I'll try to talk with Ash a little bit. Hope it's valuable to everybody. What about playing over changes? I don't have a looper set up, so I'm just going to have to kind of do an imaginary loop. So let's say you were playing over this. This is just two chords. It's just A to D. So I'm not thinking really about scales, at least not in terms of how scales lay on the guitar. Uh, I am thinking about scales in terms of tension and release. Like, really, I'm going back and forth between A and D. And if we're just playing on A, then the notes where we can rest would be E, A, and C sharp. That's just an A triad. So I think about where all those are, those A triads that lay on the fretboard, and I think about how I can play the stuff that's right next door, that's more the tension notes, and then let the tension out. And that can be as simple as just two notes, tension, release, tension, release, tension, release. Or it could be a longer line. Or so it's there. Or so I'm just thinking like these are the resting points, and then anything nearby could be a way to just have a brief tension and release. And then if I was going back and forth between two chords, like the 1 and the 4, the tension and release is kind of built into the chord progression. So I can ride the wave of that play off of the D. how the D triads are as well, and then how they connect to A. If I was doing something maybe like A to F sharp minor, I'd have to think of the same things, like how do I get from A to F sharp minor? What are the notes that I can rest on? What are the notes that create tension? And just kind of always trying to have a little bit of a hopefully artful tug of war with tension and release. That's really all we have as musicians. That's all we have is tension and release. So that's what I would work on. I wouldn't think necessarily about caged. It's good to practice caged because it helps you visualize stuff on the fretboard. Um, but I would consider that like the warm up part of my practicing, just getting the hands going, trying to get a sense of where stuff is on the fretboard. But once you get into making music, scales can sometimes be more diagonal or just horizontal. They we can practice playing in one position, and that's valuable as an exercise. But if you watch guitar players play, they they often aren't staying in one box. In blues, they might stay in one box because that's just more the style of what that is. You might hang out in one box for a while. But if you're playing melodically in a pop or rock thing, you're going to move around. So try to yeah, it doesn't always have to be above and then resolving. It can resolve from below. I mean, you could take triads and work on 2 to 3 in all of uh, 2 to 1, 6 to 5, 4 to 5. Playing with triads like that and learning to not just have them as grips, but to kind of animate them, I think is a good way to start to hear that stuff. That's what I would work on. Yeah, and you mentioned feel. Of course, feel is important, but I think it's hard to talk about it really in uh, like what are the metrics of feel? Just if you notice it, if you like the feel of certain players, or if you notice certain stuff that you do has a nice feel to it, just try to hone in on how to keep that going in whatever you play. Um, yeah, still looking for an intro to Wayne Shorter's GG. Oh, Glenn, I said I was going to look at that, and uh, I did not do my homework. Glenn, I apologize. I wanted to look at that, and I didn't do that. Um, that's that tune, right? Um, uh, David, I'll answer your question in just a moment. I wanted to play a request. Tracy asked if I would play I Put a Spell on You, so I'll do that. And then maybe I'll talk a little bit about writing it. Uh, yeah, Glenn, I don't know. I've never really gotten inside that tune, so I'm sorry I don't know. Send me a note to remind me. You can email me, any of you, if you want to email me. It's just my name. It's Adam at adamlevy.com. And I'll see if I can put it here on that Wayne Shorter tune. Mostly I know it as a page in the real book, honestly. Um, I, I don't know the record that well, I'm sorry to say. Um, but if I can help figure out what that thing is, I think I'd learn something from it too. So I'm going to play my tune, I Put a Spell on You. I put a spell on you, from which you won't recover. If you even think about taking on another lover, a fighter I was born. And no one fights to lose. I'll use weapons of the spirit to put a spell on you. Spanish moss and angel wings, and a lock of your hair. I light a crimson candle, say a midnight prayer. I put a spell on you and watched it fade from black to blue. At least I had what I wanted. For a moment or two. Spanish moss and angel wings, and a lock of your hair. I light a crimson candle, and say a midnight prayer. I put a spell on you and watch it fade from black to blue. least I had what I wanted. For a moment or two, I put a spell on you. Wow. Tracy, I hope that was okay. I haven't played that in a little while. Um, yeah, writing it. I wrote that song with a songwriter named Larry John McNally, a great songwriter from Maine. Lived in New York for a long time, moved to LA. We met in LA. And well, that's not true. We met in New York, but we wrote that song in LA in 2005, I think. And he had that opening phrase, I put a spell on you. And he wanted to write something that would be appropriate for Nina Simone. At that time, I guess some producers were looking to make a Nina Simone movie. I don't know if it is the same producers that eventually did make a Nina Simone movie, but at that time they were looking for original songs that seemed like they could have plausibly been sung by Nina Simone, even though she did record a different song called "I Put a Spell on You," which a great song by Screamin' Jay Hawkins. But this was our idea, was like take that title and write a different tune around it. So Larry John had that opening phrase, and that was the A section of the verse. And we just thought about stretch that into a lyric. I put a spell on you from which you won't recover. If you even think about taking on another lover, a fighter I was born, and no one fights to lose. I'll use weapons of the spirit. And there's this thing. Because the lyric is so spacious, we wanted to have this moving line on the A chord. I use weapons of the spirit. So it's really just like A major 7 for 2 bars, but there's a little like 6, flat 6, 5, and then the bridge basically just goes to A, which is, the song is in C sharp minor, and then the bridge goes to A, which is the 4 of the relative major. Like C sharp minor is the same key as E, so the bridge going to the 4 is pretty common. Spanish moss and angel wings and a lock of your hair. And then this is Larry's idea, this walk down. I light a crimson candle, which is just triads D, C sharp minor, B. So these are inversions. So first inversion D, first inversion C sharp minor, B minor. And then instead of going to A here, we went to, it's like A major 7 first inversion, but it feels like a C sharp minor chord with the 5 and the flat 6 in it. And then 6, natural 6, and then flat 7. I don't know. Maybe that's not what you want to hear. We're like, how did you write the song? Like maybe you want to hear a better story. I'm being very technical about how we did it, but that's how we did it. It was a co-write. Larry John McNally had the idea, and we just sat at my kitchen table and wrote a bunch of verses and picked the best lines out of all the kind of mishmash of stuff that we had on the table, and tried to make it as strong as we could. It was all written in one sitting, maybe over an hour or two. Yeah. Um. Oh wow! You saw Nina Simone at a small club Wow. I only got to see her once, and it was at a huge festival in Los Angeles. It was at the Playboy Jazz Festival, and it was exciting. But I would have loved to have seen her in a smaller, more intimate venue. David has a music question. What did you play to warm up? And he's also talking about what do I like most? Okay, that's a fair question. Okay, talking about the aux box. Earlier I mentioned I'm going through an aux box. In case you can see it, it's there. It's sitting on top of my deluxe. The thing that I like most about it is that it just sounds good all the time. It's really easy to use. Um, I've been really happy with it. Honestly, I think it's a really useful box. I know there's other solutions to the same problem, which is how can I either record directly or record quietly, or like I know people really like the Strymon Iridium. That's a great solution to that, and it's you know compared to this a lot less expensive. um, but the aux just gives you more options. If you like options, the aux is great, because what it is for people that don't know how the aux works, you plug into the front of your amp. This guitar cable is not going into the aux, it's going into my amp. So the first thing is that the guitar and the amp are talking to each other, and that's, I think, a really good thing, because electric guitars were designed to interface with amps and vice versa. So anytime you subvert that or use a modeling thing, um, at least to me, something can be lost. At least if what you're trying to get is an amp sound. If you're trying to get the feel of a guitar and an amp talking to each other, I think the aux is a good solution. There's other solutions. Any kind of attenuator will do the same thing. Um, so I plug into my amp, then I unplug the speaker on the back of the amp and plug the speaker into the aux, and then take another cable and go reconnect the speaker. So I am hearing myself in my room through my speaker, but the chain is guitar, amp, speaker output into the aux out, aux speaker back into my speaker. And then I'm also taking a line out and going into a Focusrite, just a little Scarlett preamp, and then that's what you're hearing. So you may hear some of the amp in the room that I'm hearing, but I think mostly you're going to be hearing the 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 sound that I've created, which in the aux you can choose a speaker. There's a variety of different speakers and cabinets. A single 10, single 12, double 12, 410, all the classic configurations. You can choose different mics. There's like a Royer ribbon model. There's there's a 421. There's a SM50. Any amp, any mic you've ever put on an amp, they probably have it in there. Two of them, so you can pick two mics. One could be offset, or they both could be offset. You can pan them. There's a lot in there, and then you can save your presets. So I think it's a really powerful tool. For some people, it would just be overload, and probably the Iridium would be useful just because you're not going to get anxious about all of the options. The thing I like least about it is um, it connects through Wi-Fi to your computer, and that's just because the front panel on the aux has some controls, but all of the real fine detail controls that you would get into, like what mics you're using, how they're placed, how they're panned, and stuff like that. That you have to be on an interface on your computer or an iPad or something, and it connects through Wi-Fi, and the Wi-Fi is a little wonky. That's a small problem. Like, it doesn't affect the sound at all. It doesn't. Once you get it connected, it everything is cool. But it sometimes it disconnects, or your computer can't find the aux, so it's a little wonky. So that's just an annoyance. But I don't have any technical musical recording issues with it. I think it's a great piece of gear. Um, Yeah, the Iridium is cheaper and more portable. I mean, that's just kind of a no-brainer. I don't think I would take the aux to a gig, though lots of people do. If you're talking about just like having something you can throw in your gig bag, I think the iridium makes a lot of sense. The aux can be used at a gig, of course. But I think at that point it would be great if you were like in a touring band and you had a bunch of patches saved and you could switch between them. And um, I think it could be useful in that way. I wouldn't take it to just like a little gig in a coffee shop or a bar or something. That seems like a kind of overkill. Uh, but if you did, it looks good. That's one thing I'll say about the aux box. They really made a cool looking thing. It's if you did have it at your little coffee shop gig and people saw it sitting on top of your amp, um, it looks like a cool thing. So I like that about it. David asked about about what did I warm up on, and so uh, yeah, I'll show you the stuff that I generally warm up on is the stuff out of the Gene Bertoncini book, and I've mentioned it here before, and I'll mention it here again because it's great. Where is it? It's this book. Um, so I'll sometimes do a thing in there that he calls horizontal chromatic something or other, and it's just this. Etc. And you could do that on each string, and then those are the horizontal things, and then there's vertical ones, which I'm sure everybody here has done some version of, which is this. Um, and I'm using an app called Time Guru, which looks like that. And a lot of times I will use the random mute feature to have beat dropouts to help me kind of keep honest with time. So that'd be like this. And I don't know if you're hearing the metronome, but it's randomly dropping out beats. And so that's good. Sometimes I'll also do in this kind of warm up practice this thing from Miles Okazaki's book, which has to do with getting all the chromatic stuff in one position. So instead of just sort of chromatic, it's this. Uh, So on the way up, you stretch out with your index finger, and on the way down, you stretch out with your pinky, and that starts to kind of give me some of this without it being too radical. So that's what I warmed up on this morning. I also just played a couple of songs, and that's usually what I'll do before I get to playing music. And then as soon as I just feel like that my hands are doing what I want them to, then I'll get to playing music. I think the sooner I can get to music, the better. Oh, I did one other thing this morning. This is something I've done for years. Which is kind of funny because I hardly use arpeggios in my playing at all in my actual playing. But again, it's just kind of a warm up thing. Like I'm gonna slow down. Uh, two note per string arpeggios. So this would be like C major 7. There's also one down here. There's one up here. There's one up here. So, like I say, even though I really don't use arpeggios in my playing, I like that exercise because it shifts you around. It gets you out of boxes. You have to move and land, and there's some good reaches. You could do that with any. I was doing C major 7. You could do any key. You could do any four note chord type. You really could do any four notes. It doesn't even have to be something that you recognize as a chordal arpeggio. You could just pick four notes and do that. But two note per string. The trick of it is the two note per string thing. Uh, Tyler LaFlamme says, "What do you do if you only have a certain amount of time to play and warming up would take up that entire amount of time?" Tyler, sometimes that's all I will do. If warming up takes an hour and I only have an hour, um, I like to warm up. That's just me. I don't know that that's the best thing for everybody, but uh, at in this moment in my life, I'm more keen to just try to keep my hands open and available to some different possibilities. And of course, playing real music is the best thing. It's super valuable to do. Um, but I'm not even sure why, but it feels good to me to just warm up and keep my hands feeling loose and open. And if at the end of that, if I have 5 minutes to just play a song, that feels good. uh, that's the ratio that feels good to me. I could totally see arguing the opposite, that you should, if you only have whatever 30 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever, that you should get to the music as soon as possible. uh, a different day I might say that, but the honest answer for me at this time is, if I have limited time, I would rather warm up. That's just me. Reese says, when you look back over all of your musical output, what are the moments that you're most proud of? What were you practicing that helped you make these moments happen? Wow, Reese, that's a great question. I would say the two kind of big points along my musical output that I'm the most proud of are a record called Buttermilk Channel. It's a record that I made in 2001 with Kenny Wollesen on drums and Larry Goldings on the organ. And what I was practicing then, I was really working on writing tunes. Um, you won't really hear this when you listen to the record, but what I was practicing, what I was trying to do, was write tunes with simple pentatonic melodies and then more chromatic color in the chords behind them. So I was trying to write tunes that could be as simple as whatever that is. I'm just improvising in C, and then trying to write things. This isn't a tune on that record, but I'm just sort of showing you what I was working on, like things like that. So trying to think of simple pentatonic melodies and how I could harmonize them with things that were more colorful. That's what I was trying to do. And also around that time, I was practicing a lot of uh, things moving along just like two strings. That's seconds. Or I might do something with three notes. So you'll hear that in a tune called Out of Harm's Way. Like that's just the same chord on C, and then using that same voicing down a half step for A7 altered. Uh, I was going to have to play it in real time. There it is. So that's that thing like I'm talking about. Simple melody, but complex harmony. And then this thing is just a shape. It's just one shape that really doesn't add up, but it sounds okay. And then this is a chordal, like a diatonic thing. So those are the kind of things I was practicing. And then the next kind of, I think, big leap forward for me was a record called Washing Day. I was new to songwriting and I was just writing and writing and writing. So I wasn't hardly practicing any guitar, but I was dealing with music every day in a different way. Um, I got into some open tunings, which I had never done before. Just working on that. Just thinking about song forms. I took all of the practice energy that I had put over years into scales and chords and jazz stuff and just got into songwriting. So I was listening to songwriters, I was transcribing songs, like making charts or just learning to play them and writing a lot of songs. I was trying to write a song a week. Um, and then bring that into a band context. So that's a record I'm really proud of. Also, I had a really good band. I had a really good producer. I had a really great engineer. So everything came together on that record. I feel like in a special way. So that's a high point for me. Um, Gareth Jenkins says, "Hi Adam, I'm currently in a final year music major. I don't have much time until I graduate, and I have to face the real working world. What things do you think I should prioritize practicing?" Um, mm, well, Gareth, I guess it depends on what you want to do. Do you want to be an artist? Do you want to be a sideman? Do you want to like? Well, I need to know more before I can really give you an idea of what you should prioritize. Um, what did I miss? Uh, Tyler and Peace Frog. Yeah, it's tough. Um, I'm not a father. I don't have a full time job, um, but I've got stuff that takes time. So I don't have 4 hours to play the guitar in a day. I wish I did. I remember how good that felt to do that. It really what you should do. I'm talking to you guys especially now, and I'll come back to Gareth in a minute. But what you guys should do is just prioritize the stuff that's really important and try to avoid the stuff you should do. I mean, that's really the stuff I would try to get off your plate as soon as possible. Is like, oh, I saw this YouTube video where a guy said, "Oh, you suck at doing this," or "You're doing this wrong," or, you know, try not to buy into the mentality of there's so many things that are wrong with what you're doing. Just think about what you really want to sound like as a guitarist. And yeah, if you only have 30 or 40 minutes a day, it's going to be hard. You're not going to make a ton of progress on that kind of time. And you didn't say that that's how much time you have. I'm just thinking when you say you have limited time that it's probably something like that. Um, and if you just want to spend it having fun, like putting on records and playing along with records and rocking out, that's totally valid. That's that's great. But if you want to make real progress on the guitar, then I think I would try to eliminate everything that you can. And actually, this would be useful to Gareth too. Like, if you've been in school, Gareth, you've had people telling you, practice this, learn this, study this. There'll be a test. You have to do this. You're now at a point where nobody's going to tell you that anymore. So you just have to practice the stuff that have a good talk with yourself. Maybe get out a notebook and write down the stuff that you really want to do on the guitar, whatever that is. And then just only practice the stuff that will help you get there specifically, because anything else, I just say that because I've done this for years and I see it in my students. They really beat themselves up over all the stuff they can't do. And really, no guitar player can do everything. Well, most of my favorite guitar players are only good at a couple of things, honestly. Uh, and if you really think about it, you might find that too. Whoever your favorite guitar players are, they're not good at everything. They're good at two, three things maybe, and we love those things that they do. Um, for Gareth, who's uh, just graduating school, um, yeah, really think about the players you love and what the things are that you love about them, and then think about what you either already do love about what you can play now, or what you would like to love about what you could play if you could play it, and just eliminate everything else. Just get it off your plate now and forever. That's what I would do. Since Gareth says he wants to do session work and original work, that's kind of what I've done. The things I think you should really work on, if you haven't already, is just having a good sense of time, because a lot of session work is about grooving. It has very little to do with arpeggios or scales or modes or anything like that. It's just you have to have a good time feel. Okay, how do you work on that? And you could use a metronome, but I would also highly recommend playing along with records. Just put on records you like and just play along. Try to insert yourself in the band and either play a part that's already being played, or try to look for a part that's not being played. As a session player, rhythm guitar is a huge thing to be able to do well. So listen to people who are good at rhythm guitar, in whatever styles that you think you might be into. So, if you want to play funk, listen to some funk players and learn that stuff. If you want to be in a more like singer-songwriter world, figure out who the great rhythm guitar players are in that world. I happen to like Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. I think you could learn a lot from listening to Tom Petty's rhythm part and also to Mike Campbell's lead parts and fills and solos. Like that's really the blueprint, for me anyway. So play along with records, work on your time feel. Also, work on being a people person. I don't know you, Gareth. You might already be a people person, but a thing that I learned in school, especially looking back, is that is that being a great guitar player is not that important as you might think. There are lots of great guitar players, tons, and some of them are working a lot. Some of them aren't working a lot. Sorry, but it's not really a meritocracy. Making a living as a guitar player, the business of that is not I don't think is merit based as much as it's about being reaching out to people, trying to uh, assert yourself and insert yourself into the scenes where you want to be. Um, when clubs are open again, go to the clubs where the stuff is happening that you want to be part of. If you want to play sessions, look at records and see who the producers are. Find out who's producing the music that you like and try to just cold call them. It's a nervy thing to do. And if you're not really ready, if you call a producer, they may call your bluff and say, "Great, I'll send you some tracks, play some guitar." And if you're not ready, they may never call you again. But if you feel that you are ready to take that leap, then you have to you just have to put yourself out there. That's super important. Be reliable. If you say you're going to give somebody some tracks tomorrow by 2 o'clock, do it. Um, be professional, be cool, be unique, play something that nobody else would play. Don't worry about trying to play like anybody else. Try to put something on the tracks that only you could think of, you know. As far as doing your own music, I think this is a really good book. It just came out recently. It's called Your Music and People by Derek Sivers. Um, you can order the book, or I think there's a PDF of it you can find online. Um, just a really good, simple approach to getting your music out there and connecting with people. Uh, David Dewey says, record yourself and then listen back some amount of after some amount of time, 2 weeks, 2 months. You are really making progress. You are likely making progress that you're not aware of. I love that, David. That's really true. Yeah. In the moment when we're working on stuff, it's really easy to hear all the stuff that's not cool, but likely you're playing some stuff that is cool, but you just don't know it yet. So record a lot of practice sessions and then listen back later on. A while ago here, somebody asked about just general advice for being a better musician. I don't really have any general advice for being a better musician because I think it's specific. You know, I think being better, my advice would be define for yourself what better means and then work on the things that would make you better. Uh, Oscar says, "Hi, Adam. Any tips on how to play songs from the head? I've been playing melody style for a year and seeing some very small progress. Also, any tips on hearing chords? By the way, uh, does the same go for mandolin? I don't know. I know very little about mandolin. Oscar, I'm going to get to your question, but I'm going to first. Nicholas Stankus says, can you talk about chordal soloing? Um, do you mean like playing a solo that's based on chords like what I'm doing right now? And if so, do you mean in jazz or in more like in pop and stuff? So Nicholas, I'll wait a second, see if you have an answer. So yeah, Nicholas says, do you always incorporate the melody during a chordal solo? Yeah, I would think melodically first. Like it's we always learn chords kind of looking at it from the bass note to the treble, because just that's, if you look down, that's what you see. And that's, we're looking at these markers on the side of the fretboard to position ourselves that way. But I kind of wish that the treble strings were, I wish the guitar was upside down sometimes, because then maybe we'd realize that the melody is the whole idea. So like chord voicings are useful only in the service of melody. So I would work on like just trying to play a scale and try to put chords maybe on every other note. Let's see. We're starting here. And you could think of it as a static exercise where you're just only trying to articulate that we're in C major. Or you could think of it as like 1 4 1 4. Or 1 5. Just I would start there with just simple simple melody things, and or just take songs that you like and learn the melody, and then try to add some simple chords. Don't even worry about putting bass notes in it. Could just be I'm trying to think of a jazz tune. I said, don't worry about bass notes in there. I am playing bass notes. I'll do it again. This is My Romance. And just focus on the melody. Don't worry about cool chord voicings at all. If the melody is happening, the chord voicings will they'll take care of themselves, I guess. I don't know. It's easy to say, hard to do. But yeah, think about melody. Play little 2 note, 3 note, 4 note things. If what you're trying to do is play like Jonathan Kreisberg, then what I'm saying is the wrong approach. You really do need to think about harmony a lot, or more like Peter Mazza, or any number of modern players. But for what I'm trying to do, I would work on the melody as a thing. I would transcribe some Johnny Smith guitar solos, oh shoot, what is it? When I Fall in Love is a great one by Johnny Smith to learn. Yeah, melody, 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 melody. Phil, thanks for being here. Wow, I can't believe you're still here. It's been wow. Go do your life. Thanks for hanging out. I really appreciate you being here, Phil. That's cool. Hey, Carlos. Do I always incorporate? Yeah, I did that one. Gareth says, if you have a home recording setup, what do you have, and what would you recommend in terms of gear for remote recording? There's just so much choice in the market right now. Yeah. And this will be my last question. Yeah, I'm going to answer Gareth's question, and then I'm gonna stop because I'm gonna go have some lunch. So, recording gear. I've gone through a bunch of different things in the last year. The thing that I'm using most of the time right now is a Scarlett. Oh, I always forget. Oh, Catboy Sound. I always forget to mention, I'll mention it one more time. I have a Patreon channel. You can check it out. Um, it's called Guitar Tips Pro, and it's kind of like this, except it's not so much about live Q and A's, but it's me talking and playing and teaching, and I've done deep dives into improvisation and scales and chord voicing, and lots of the lessons have PDFs. And there's a bunch of interviews with great guitar players there. In recent months, I've interviewed Anthony Wilson and Cheryl Bailey, Happy Traum. That was great. David Ryan Harris, Kevin Bright. Well, so there's a lot of stuff there. Please check out my Patreon channel, Guitar Tips Pro. So Gareth, to answer your question, the thing that I'm using is the Scarlett. Well, thank you. Is the I can't show you because it's all wired up, but yeah, just a real basic Focusrite box. I was using Universal Audio Apollo, and I think that's a really great interface as well. But then I bought a new computer. I bought a new PowerBook M1, and it didn't play well. It didn't play that well with Luna and all that, all the Universal Audio stuff. Yeah, they're still trying to work out some bugs. So I was using Luna. I've gone back to using Logic. I think Logic is just really easy. I know there's other DAWs, and you could just use whatever you like. I think the main thing is just to develop a workflow that works, and not try to keep up with the Joneses so much, but just find how you can get some sounds, practice with it. Like, if you're not already doing this, like sometimes I'll put on a record and plug into my Logic setup and get a tone going. So I'm listening on speakers. I've got KRK Rocket 5 um, monitors. They're great, not too expensive. So that's my setup. KRK Rocket 5s, Focusrite preamp. Sometimes I won't use the aux in my amp, and I'll just go right in and use amp models in Logic. And then other times I will use my amp if I'm trying to get a particular thing. But whatever you have, practice with it. Spend lots and lots of time with it. Put on records you like, and plug into your Logic or whatever, and try to match the guitar tone. See if you can do that. And then do it again, and then do it again, and do it again, and practice with headphones on. And really, like, if you want to be a session player, you have to practice like a session player. Practice playing to a click. Practice coming up with parts. Practice playing a tune that you've never heard, that you don't have a chart of, and you have to figure out in 2 takes. Think of all the stuff that a session player might have to do, technologically and musically, and make that the focus of your practice time. If you are sitting in your room practicing scales and arpeggios and stuff, and then somebody asks you to do an overdub, and you're still figuring out how to use Logic and how to get a good amp sound in Logic or with your aux or whatever, you're going to waste valuable time. So practice that stuff now. Make that your practice, Garrett. That's what I would practice, and all the other stuff I think will come together. Uh, Other people are talking to Gareth. Uh, Gosh darn it! I really gotta go. uh, yeah, Mike Comer. That's tough. I've had students who've had some dyslexia. It's tough. Learning to read is hard enough. Um, I would just try to do a little bit every day. Get a book like William Levitt's Modern Method for Guitar, and just make yourself do it 30 minutes a day, every day for 100 days. This is something that I printed out from Austin Kleon, and so I'm on a 100-day practice quest. I mean, you got to try. Like, then see what, then reevaluate. If you practice every day reading for 30 minutes for 100 days and you still feel like you're in the same spot, um, well, I don't know. That's really tough. But the first thing I would do is just try your best and see what you can do. Playing with Nora Jones was great. It blew my mind. We started playing in little clubs. Literally, first few gigs we played were just in a coffee shop in the basement of a hotel. That's where we started playing brunch gigs, and then we got to tour the whole world and be kind of famous for a minute or whatever. I don't know. It was incredible. Nora was great. The band was great. The whole thing was just like a dream. Honestly, I wish I had a better way to, excuse me, encapsulate it. But it was just, it couldn't have happened in any better way than it happened for me anyway. I don't know if everybody feels the same, but that's how I feel about it. So I'm grateful that I met Nora just kind of through a friend before she was famous or signed or anything, and we just hit it off and we played some gigs, and she kept me uh, with her for a long time. I was in her band till the end of 2007, and then I left on my own. Just I had some stuff going on in my life that I needed to take care of, so I needed to get off the road. Um, that's about that. Um, yeah, fractals, helix. I don't know anything about that stuff. Um, Yeah. All right, everybody, I'm going to go. I appreciate you being here. I really do. I know you've got other stuff you could be doing, so I appreciate hanging out and asking good questions. Um, this is going to be my last YouTube for a while. I've been doing them throughout January, but it'll stay posted if you want to go back and review any of the stuff that I mentioned. Please check out my Patreon site. I'll plug it in one more time, and I'll see you around. Take good care, everybody.